House tour, guys. Me behind the cam.
It's gonna be the whole intro to the next video.
Shit here, shit here, shit here, shit here.
Oh, you don't mean that. Alrighty, welcome to the Q&A video. I am pretty excited about this because we got a ton of good questions. There are a few repeats, so I'm gonna rip a few off the bat that I got a lot and are pretty common. The first being my watch. I use a Garmin Forerunner 255. I'll literally throw an image of it right here. I've had it for over a year and a half now. Great watch. I think it's at 14-day battery life, absolutely phenomenal. So that is the watch that I use. Secondly, a lot of people ask shin splints. That comes down to three big things. One is your running form, so making sure that you're hitting and striking the ground the ball of your feet in a consistent manner, not an overpronation where you go outside of your foot too hard to the inside, or if you're heel striking, which when your heel hits the ground first and then the ball of your foot. Those are two things that you want to avoid. So you want to be consistently hitting the ball of your foot, which is here's my foot, that's the ball. You don't want to be too much on your toes, you don't want to be too much on your heels. You really don't want to be on your heels at all when you're running, because that's just going to cause an overactivation of your Achilles, stress out everything, calf, tibia. Don't want to do that. Be on the ball of your feet when you're running. Second thing comes down to your shoes, and that's just a matter of making sure that you have shoes that are providing you with proper comfort and support, as well as that they aren't too worn. If you've used a shoe for too long, so say over 300 miles logged on it, you should probably get a new shoe. It's just not going to provide you with the support you need, and it's going to be a lot of impact on your joints, which might cause for an overcompensation in your tibia, therefore causing shin splints. And last but not least, inserts in your feet. Everyone has different arches, or the way in which your foot is formed. So for example, I have very flat feet, so getting a sole or an insert within my shoe that provides me with some type of arch support, very helpful. Just something to look at. Go to a local running store, highly recommend. That'll definitely solve most of your problems. But yeah, now that those two are out of the way, we can deep dive a little bit into everything else. Like I said, there are a few repeats, so if I don't get to your question, but someone else asks a very similar question, I'll try and give a very specific but broad answer, so it's all encompassing. Those were two very contrasting words. I'm gonna try and we're just gonna start. The first one comes from Official Mario, and it is, how do you become a hybrid athlete and not lose muscle mass with the long run? So there's two parts to this question. The first is, how do you become a hybrid athlete? And the truth of it is, a lot of people, there isn't one specific definition of a hybrid athlete, which a lot of people, especially now that it's becoming a lot more popular to balance that kind of strength and endurance aspect, people are oh, you just have to lift and run. It's I think there is definitely some levels to it. The way that I look at it is, are you a high performer in both strength and endurance? Now, this doesn't mean you have to be the absolute best. You don't have to be the strongest person in the gym as well as the fastest person on earth. That's a very rare breed. Those don't really exist. I'm just saying it comes down to a lot more than just you're lifting 6 times a week and then you go for one 30-minute run, or you're running 6 times a week and then you go for one 30-minute. It's having a balance between both, in which you are consistently progressing in the gym as well as during your endurance events, which could be running, swimming, biking, anything within that category. So when it comes to becoming a hybrid athlete, it comes to finding a balance between both. So it's developing a split that, we kind of said, encompasses and both ensures a progressive overload in the gym with reps, weights, and sets that you're doing across. I like to say it includes compound lifts, because the idea of being a hybrid athlete, BPN kind of has the slogan of lift heavy, run far. And when I think lift heavy, I think of deadlifting a lot. So I always include compound lifts. But yeah, your lifts, you want to ensure have a progressive overload manner in which you're targeting every single muscle group, including your legs, but you want to be consistently pushing yourself in the gym to make sure you're seeing progress in weights, reps, and sets, like I had said. And then in the endurance aspect wise, you also want to find a balance in which you are, having your easy runs or your easy days to help develop your aerobic base, which is just going to allow you to intake more oxygen at an expedited rate so that you can have a lower heart rate while continuing to work. It's just kind of getting used to that consistent rhythmic pattern of moving your body for extended periods of time. Endurance, as well as your hard effort days. So these could be tempo runs, this could be high wattage bike rides. I feel like I want to say that right. I'm still new to the cycling world. These could be like shorter swim sets where you're just kind of like going all out. And I think the last big one is like the question I'd ask, like the long runs, the long swims, the long bikes. So you want to have a split that kind of has all three of those, or all of those aspects tied together. Now, like shameless plug, like I do have my training programs right here, which highlight how I went about developing my training into like the hybrid athlete way. Obviously, like do whatever you want's best for you, but like these are guidelines if you're interested. Now, the long run aspect in losing muscle mass, this is like the next big thing. And there's two main aspects, I guess three main aspects to this. The number one is eating. You have to eat so much. I literally eat, I'm in Ironman training, so given that, I burn 4,500 to 5,000 calories every day. So I am therefore eating 4,500 to 5,000 calories every day. To ensure that you do not lose muscle mass, you have to be like on top of your nutrition so that any calories that you are burning, you're consuming back. Also important to note that it's not just total calorie consumption, it comes down to like macromolecule proportions. So I'm eating, 40% of my total calories are coming from protein because protein is the macromolecule responsible for restoring muscle tissue. Therefore, like you need protein to build more muscle, so that's super important. And then 35% of my total calories come from carbohydrates. So these are things that vary between both like quickly digesting carbs, so honey, fruit, rice, as well as slow digesting carbs, which come from like sourdough bread and oats, stuff like that. Having a balance of both of these is just going to ensure that your glycemic index, which is just like your body's monitor of where your glucose levels are, is always at a consistent rate, not that you have this spiking and then dropping. That's why you have that balance between simple and complex, because if you only had simple, you'd have a lot of like spiking and then a lot of crashing. If you only had complex, there wouldn't be like that provided energy source that you want for your workouts. That's why like endurance gels are very quickly digesting carbs, because like you want that quick energy spike. You're like, okay, I'm in the midst of a workout, I need this right now. But if you like only relied on that, then you wouldn't have any type of like long-term energy source. And the last macromolecule, fats. Fats are super important for hormonal regulation, as well as just like your like daily operation. Fats are like your very low intensity energy source. Fat is just like the energy source that your body needs just to like operate normally, to ensure that your organs are functioning properly, to make sure everything's going smoothly. So yeah, nutrition number one. And then number 2 and 3, like we said, you want to have like 80% of your endurance training be in that low zone 2 aerobic building threshold, just to ensure that you aren't overworking your muscles, first of all. Second of all, you aren't depleting your glycogen storage by like going too intense with those training runs or training endurance events. And last but not least, like I kind of mentioned before, you want to really be pushing in the gym. You want to be like going like very hard and ensuring that you're in a progressive overload manner. So if you do those 3 things on top of your nutrition, zone 2 training, progressive overload, that's like the very short answer to this question, but I wanted to go in depth and explain a little bit because this is always a big one that I get. Next one comes from Quinn McCohen, and it is, did you drink/go out in college? So for those of you who don't know, I literally just graduated from USC about almost 3 weeks ago at this point. Was a damn good time. I was in a fraternity. I was the president of my fraternity actually my sophomore year. That was a good time. I'll throw a little clip up of one of our parties. Why not? So I would say at the beginning of my college experience, like freshman and sophomore year, when I first got into it was a whole new world. I'm independent on my own. Yes, I probably was more inclined to going out and drinking then. 1, because I wanted to meet new people. 2, because it was just like, oh my God, I'm in college. This is like the norm, After my term ended as president, my junior year, so like second semester junior year, when I was no longer fraternity president, I kind of reeled it back when it came to like going out and drinking, because like I really didn't value it as much. Don't get me wrong, like going out and getting a drink with dinner, like that is prime, and I will do that 100 times out of 10. But like the idea of like going out, getting shit faced, and like waking up super hungover, like it just didn't sit right with me. Especially at this point in time, this is like January 2023, I started posting content, I started taking competing more seriously, and I was just like, this really isn't going to help me out in like the long run. When it comes to like seeing progress, if I'm continuously like destroying my body every weekend. So I said, you know what, like I'm gonna reel it off from the whole drinking thing. Going out, I definitely could have done a better job of this. My senior year, I feel like I kind of spent a lot of time posted up in my room when I could have been going out with my friends. First semester, second semester, I had a better balance, but it comes down to, you can go out and be sober. I know it's like a crazy concept to people, but you don't have to be blackout drunk every single time you go out. You can go out. Sometimes I'll just get one drink just so I have something to hold in my hand, and I'm just like, oh, sick. It just comes down to like, and it's still something that I'm very much still working on myself, but like being comfortable with yourself when you are out in a scene like that, where like you clearly are like the outsider because you're not drunk, you're not kind of falling over, you're not spewing nonsense 24/7. So it's really just like taking a step back and being like, is this going to support me in becoming like a better version of myself? Like, do I need to be drinking? If you want to, absolutely rip it, do your thing. But if you are really trying to like dive in on the whole competing or seeing progress, like I will say it is a little bit of a regression, especially because alcohol is empty calories, so like it doesn't really provide any nutritional value to you. When it comes to going out, like go out, and it's still go out and be with your friends. You don't need to necessarily drink to go out. I know it obviously does make it a little easier. It does make it a little bit easier at times to do so, but if you can kind of find that self-peace with yourself and just be like, you know what, like I can still go out and have a great time without being drunk, like more power to you. I'm very much so still learning how to do that as well, so like we're in that together, but yeah. The next question comes from Christian Poras, and it is, when did you start lifting and running seriously? So when it comes to lifting, this is, I guess, I'll give like the full story with it. The first time I ever lifted a weight, I was 13 years old, and that was because it was with the football team, like the strength and conditioning program. So all of high school I played football and rugby, therefore I was lifting and training like an athlete for 4 straight years. And then my senior year, when COVID came around, I suddenly no longer played a sport, first of all. Second of all, it was like all on me to figure out how to work out. So in May of 2020, I really started taking lifting seriously. My cousin and I, we kind of went through every single phase possible when it came to lifting, and we would just kind of go in the gym, hit chest like 3 times a week. Like we had a separate day for traps and forearms. It was like bro split to the max. But like, yeah, like May of 2020, like when my cousin and I like first got into weightlifting, like that was the start of everything. And like a lot of it was like very much so self-taught and like learning like, okay, like this does work, this doesn't work. And that's what I was like super grateful for, is that I learned a lot of what I do know through like pure experience, which is why I think like I have a pretty good base of knowledge when it comes to training, because I really have tried pretty much every single training modality possible. So yeah, lifting, I would say May of 2020. And then I didn't really start getting into like long distance running. I was still like running and doing sprint work, because I wanted to walk on the USC football team. Shocker, got cut, crazy, we'll get to that later. But I didn't start like distance running until end of my freshman year of college. So this then gets us to like May of 2021, so a year later. I remember I ran my first half marathon. I'll post that up on the screen right there. I hadn't ran more than 3 miles, and I'm like, yup, like we're gonna do this, we're gonna rip it. And it was horrible, but it's what got me hooked. And then from there, I went on to run my first marathon in March of 2022. That was my sophomore year of college, and I ran the LA Marathon. I ran a 3:43, which I was pretty stoked about. But yeah, lifting, May of 2020, and that was after, I guess I had like 3 years of prior experience with like lifting with a strength and conditioning program, and then distance running May of 2021. So about 4 and 3 years of doing both. All right, next one we got Maxwell Cosenza, and he says, how do you stop yourself from wishing you would have started something earlier? This is a great question, and this was like 24/7 on my mind. All I used to think about was like, oh, if I even like started playing football earlier than high school, then maybe I would have played like at the next level. Or like, oh, if I would have started studying earlier, I would have done better on a test. Or oh, like you got to just take a deep breath and realize that like everything in your life happens exactly how it's supposed to. Like every single thing, every experience that you've ever had is either a result of like a past experience or like a precursor for a future one. So if you just like realize that just like being as present as possible will be the best way to kind of just embrace every single aspect of life, like you are gonna be like set. I promise you. I like the idea, I totally blank on like where I got it from, but it's like extreme ownership. So like no matter what happens in your life, like whether you have control over it or not, like you just gotta be like, yep, like I'm gonna embrace this is what's happening to my life and focus on like what I can control, which is always like my mental and my emotions, how I respond to the thing, to the matter at hand. So just like realizing that like you are exactly where you're supposed to be right now. You are doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing right now. And then in regards to like finding the perfect time to start something, it's right now. You know, actually the best time to start was yesterday, but the second best time is right now. There's never going to be a perfect moment where everything aligns, where you know you have the time, you have the money, you have the experience. You know, you have to be uncomfortable at the start and like really push through it, because things are super messy at the beginning, really hard in the middle, and absolutely beautiful in the end. So like if you could just like embrace that entirely and just be like, all right, you know what, I don't have it all figured out right now, but that doesn't mean that I can't start right now. That is the best approach to any aspect of your life. Not Kobe Carlisle asks, what is your pre-workout nutrition for early morning workouts? This is perfect because now we can move around.
So if you can't tell, I'm a pretty big BPN fan. But my pre-morning workout nutrition stack comes down to these two products right here of electrolytes and G1M Sport. Electrolytes is solely focused on our sodium intake for water and hydration. G1M Sport is both easily digestible carbs as well as sodium to provide us with some sort of energy, as well as ensuring that hydration is optimal. And then depending on the effort, I will also either include a Go Gel, like we had mentioned before, easily digestible carbohydrates to provide us with quick energy, or a Go Bar, which is a glorified Rice Krispie treat, but they are so good, and they are a combination of both simple and complex carbohydrates that you can consume prior to an endurance activity to provide you with sustained levels of energy throughout it. So 1 scoop of G1M, depending on if it's a longer run or workout, I could do a scoop and a half. 1 scoop of electrolytes, and depending on the length of activity, either a Go Bar before if it's a longer, or a Go Gel before if it's shorter. If it's a really long one, I'll bring Go Gels to have during the runs themselves or the endurance activities themselves. But I'll never eat a Go Bar during an endurance activity, because those have fiber as well as like fats and protein, so they take a lot more energy to digest. Therefore, like you probably will have to use the bathroom, as opposed to a Go Gel, which is just pure carbohydrates, very quickly digesting, will provide you with sustained energy levels like that. And then like always, code HOP, if you're interested, we'll get you a discount on all that.
Next question comes from the longtime homie Andrew Loya, and it is, how much sleep do you get on average? Now, as someone who's studied neuroscience and has like gone over multiple sleep modules and understands the importance of deep sleep versus REM sleep and light sleep and how that all affects your cortisol levels, which then affect your immune health and everything. I have a pretty good understanding of sleep, and I know for a fact I do not get enough sleep. A lot of it comes down to my schedule in college, which was very busy, studying neuroscience, running my own coaching business, being an athlete, creating content. There's always a lot going on, so sleep was always like the first thing to go for me, and I'm being entirely honest right here. Like, I would go some nights like, or there'd be like some weeks where like 5 hours of sleep was the average, and like I was still able to operate and do pretty well. I'll say like right now, I get probably like 6.5 to 7 hours of sleep a night, which like for me, like that is so extremely solid. I sometimes struggle to get 7 hours of sleep because like my body like will wake up at 5 and I'll just be like, all right, like let's go. And I'm like, dude, like I don't need to like start operating right away, but like I'm so used to it because that's how I lived for so long, where it's just like go 24/7 that like I like slowly phase out my requirement for sleep. But yeah, I'd say like right now, like 6.5 to 7 hours of sleep. Like especially during last semester of college, or I guess like really last year, when I was like really going all in with my coaching business, I would have class Monday through Thursday. So all my client updates for my programs would go down on Fridays. Like obviously I want to go out with my friends, I want to enjoy myself. So there'd be Fridays where like I'm super busy, I have workouts in the morning, and then we'll go out in the afternoon with my friends, or we'll go out to dinner or something like that. And I'll get home at like 10 p.m. and then I'll have to go through and like update my client programs and stay up till like realistically like 2-3 a.m. And then I'd go to sleep and wake up at like 7:30, 8 a.m. and just start my day. Like I don't know, I think my body just got so used to like on operating with such little sleep. And I will say I think it's a genetic thing, because my mom is an insomniac. She doesn't sleep ever. I'll text her at any time of the day and she'll respond. So it could just be that. But yeah, sleep is super important. So like if you are getting optimal amount of sleep, it's both like quality length and quality depth. I will say, although like the Garmin isn't the most accurate measurement of sleep, you need like an EEG, which is like the little things they put in your head to measure your brain wavelengths. This just goes based on heart rate. I do get pretty good quality of sleep. Like I do get a shit ton of deep sleep, because by the time I hit my bed, like I am gassed, so I just pass out cold. And then I do get a decent amount of REM sleep as well, just because like throughout my day I'm exposing myself to a lot of new information, and whether it be like content, social networking, or just like different activities throughout the day. So like that novelty factor will ensure that you have more REM sleep, because it's like more information that you're exposed to throughout the day that your brain has to like synthesize while it's asleep. So I get good quality sleep. I think it's the quantity or the duration that I need to work on. Next question from AJ Gianelli is, what book are you reading right now? The book that I'm reading right now is Endure by Alex Hutchinson. It is his memoir. He was a phenomenal 1500 meter runner, and it is really taking more of like an analytical approach to the activity of endurance, and like really pushing the limits of human performance in endurance activities from like a neuroscience, sports psychology perspective. I'm a huge fan of the chapter that I just read about the central governor theory, which is just like your mind has a lot of control over like muscle regulation, and that like we often don't push to our actual physical limits. It is we push to our mental limits, and then our brain restricts us from like actually going that next step, because it's like, oh, you don't want to hurt yourself. I'm a huge nerd, so I really like that book. Also talks a lot about running. I'm really trying to get more into the endurance space, because like I feel like with running I still haven't even like scratched the surface of my capability with it. So yeah, really highly recommend. Also the foreword is by Malcolm Gladwell, which I've read, Outliers and How to Talk to Strangers by him. So really talented author as well. Definitely check out that book. Riley Colborn asks, did you ever play competitive sports? Yes, I played baseball from the age of 4 to 12 years old. I swam competitively from the age of 4 to 12 years old. I was actually the New England regional champion in the 1500-yard breaststroke when I was 8 and 9 years old, so that was pretty cool. In high school, I played football and rugby. I was the captain of my football team, and I was also the captain of my rugby team. Here's like the greatest moment. This is like easily my peak moment of high school right here. And then I had the opportunity to play rugby at Brown University, so like collegiate rugby, but just due to like financial reasons with like my family, I decided not to and wanted to pursue an academic scholarship at the University of Southern California. So I went to USC, free, really, because of just an academic scholarship. I tried to walk on the football team there. Like I said, it got cut, womp womp. And then I had a very short stint with the rugby team there, before I just realized I really like the whole like lifting heavy and running far idea. Sarah Stahl asks, how many hours of training do you do in a day? I'd say it's probably anywhere between like 4 to 5 hours right now, especially because I do train 3 times a day right now. It's either a bike, a swim, a run, a variation of those 3, and then I do lift every day as well. Say I bike for 2 hours, and then I go for like a 5-mile run. That's about 40 minutes right there, so it's 2 hours, 40 minutes. Lift for an hour and a half, that's about 4 hours, 10 minutes, so like right there in that threshold. On longer days, there is a give and a take, so it's just being smart. Like if I have a 3.5 hour bike ride or a very long run, I'm probably not gonna train 3 times a day, but like I'll still get a second session and it'll probably even out to around that 4 hour mark. I think that's a good number. And then I will have quad days, which is like, I just made like a full day of training video. On quad days, I have those either once or twice a week, depending on how my body's feeling. And like that's probably pushing like 6 hours of training a day, which is a lot. T Lask Performance asked, what is your method of staying motivated? I actually have a great clip that I recorded for last week's vlog, and I didn't include it because the vlog ran too long. So I'm just gonna play it right here. But real quick, one thing that I did want to say, because I feel like I get this question asked a lot when it comes to just like overall energy to work out 3-4 times a day. Like people are like, how do you do it? Like what motivates you? Dude, like the biggest cheat code is you have to like be fully honest with yourself and just love what you do. I love to train. This is like
nothing brings me joy more than like working hard, and I genuinely believe that that allows me to push harder. No amount of stimulants or external substances would ever make me work harder than just like the simple mindset that I have that like I want to be great. I want to work so hard that I can one day tell my kids, hey, like I really left it all out there every single day. I woke up every day. I loved what I did. I lived my best life. That's what fires me up, man. That's what gets me. Do you think I'm tired as hell? I did a Murph today. I ran 5 miles. I've been out in the sun all day. So what, dude? I get to go and swim. I get to do this shit. I am so fired up right now. Yeah! I don't know where that came from.
Essentially, you just gotta like love what you do. You have to wake up every day and be like, I have the privilege to do this. I get to do this. Like, it is a privilege to do hard things. I'm grateful to be in this position. And really just embrace it. Be like, this is something that I'm gonna be able to tell my kid one day, like, yeah, like I worked hard, like you should too. And that's really how I look at it. Ryan Wang asked, do you have any off-camera hobbies like Legos or something? I love Legos. I used to play with so many Legos. They were so fun. I had like every single Lord of the Rings Lego set. That was great. Reading, that's a big thing for me. And then I used to do a lot more like individual research just on topics that I was interested in. Like I would just go through and like rip some scientific articles. Like I said, I'm a huge nerd. I don't know what you want me to say. I can play the ukulele. I don't have it with me here. I should probably just order a new one. But yeah, I self-taught myself that during COVID. Not really that cool. I might get a guitar actually and learn to play guitar. That would be sick. I'm trying to get better at chess. I play like at least a game or 2 of chess a day on my phone. The computer is still smoking me, but like I think it's pretty fun. And I like to just like kick with my friends. Like we'll just hang out. Like I think a big thing. Just go be outside. I like to do anything outside, like hiking. That's super fun to me. Swimming. I love to swim. Not just like competitively or like Ironman training. Just like being in a body of water is like so peaceful to me. So that's a big one. But yeah, I don't know like any specific I can juggle. Like, is that a hobby? I don't know. I think it's just a weird talent. But Max McNear asked, is this your dream job? If not, what is it? And I've talked about this a few times before. This is definitely a dream to be doing exactly what I'm doing right now. It doesn't feel real at all. But my dream job, I think, would be owning some type of organization in which it combines physical training with like mental health, counseling therapy, in a way in which high school and college athletes can come to like this facility. I would like for it to be like a physical location, and for them to be a ton around the country, around the world if possible, and just receive the mental and physical support they need to ensure that they are performing in every aspect of their life, and just provide them with guidance if need be. Like, it's a scary time trying to like navigate what you want to be in life when you're that young and you have so much external pressure when it comes to applying to college, high school sports, and then going to that next level playing college sports. What am I going to do after college? There's a lot like going on mentally. So if I can help individuals by providing like a center, like a beacon point, I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, what I'm doing right now is definitely really, really cool, and I'm super grateful for it. And I'm going to do it until like I literally cannot physically compete anymore. So tying into that question, Morgan Siebel asks, any academic or intellectual goals? I want to go back to school for sure. I want to get, like the end goal is like PhD in clinical psychology, because I think like Dr. Hopkins would be pretty damn cool. So I'm just debating on like whether or not I'd go back and get my master's in clinical psych, because then I can stem right into like sports psychology, which I think would align more with what I'm trying to do with the combination of the physical and the mental aspects of training. But then again, with clinical psychology, it does offer the option to go into like private practice or like work like in a more broader sense than just like niching myself with sports psychology. So yeah, definitely going back to school at some point in time, still kind of navigating that route and taking my time with it, because I just spent 18 years in school. I kind of want to live a little bit. Healthy by Henry asked, have you ever considered using any performance enhancers? And to be completely honest, no, I haven't. And the reason why I haven't, and most likely never will, is because I struggle enough already when it comes to taking credibility for the things I do. I feel like that's probably like the one thing that I really need to work on with myself. There's a lot of things I need to work on. We're all works in progress. But like a lot of people will always be like, oh my God, you're crushing it. Or, oh dude, that was sick. And like, to me, it's just like, I can do better. I can do more. Like I can't give myself that satisfaction, or not that satisfaction, but that like you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't be like, good job to myself right now. Like, I'm still struggling. I'm still learning how to do that. So I feel like if I took any performance enhancers, like immediately I would discredit any hard work I do. And that's not like, I have nothing against anyone who does take performance enhancing drugs. I have nothing. Like, if that's what you do, that's what you do, and you're probably still working very hard to achieve the goals you're doing. Great. But for me, mentally, like, I struggle to take credit as is when it comes to my achievements. So I don't think I would be able to like look at myself and be like, you genuinely deserve this, because I would see it as like taking the easy way out. And that's just my opinion. That's just me. Please don't attack me. But yeah, the only reason why I would take like, say, like TRT, it would be like to the point where I'm like 40 to 50 years old, because like I'm not ignorant to the fact that as you get older your testosterone levels drop, and a doctor like medically prescribes it to me, and this is like after I'm done with training, after I'm done with competing, and I'm just like working out to stay healthy. If my doc's like, hey dude, like your test is shot, like, yeah, like that's like a down the road thing. But like, while I'm in like this active competition phase where I'm competing in triathlons and marathons and bodybuilding and power, like, nah, not for me. James Ryan asked, do you ever feel out of place at times? And 100%. I 100%, especially in college, I really struggled with this a lot. I always felt like I needed to be acting differently. I should be doing something differently. I feel like the outsider for being the one that was like working out every day and like doing my thing. Like I just didn't feel like the people that I was surrounded by like had the same values aligned. Not good or bad, just like different. But yeah, I definitely felt out of place, and it was like really hard mentally for a while to just be like, you have to be okay with being alone if you want to like really pursue a goal of yours. Because at the end of the day, like when you look at it, like not everyone has the same goals as you. So for you to expect other people to accommodate to what you're trying to do just so you don't feel alone, like that's not how life works. But I will say, like in the times that I did feel like the most alone or like out of place have been like the times that have allowed the most like self-reflection and have really led me to be like having just an appreciation for like who I am as a human being and like my work ethic. So I think that's just something to keep in mind. And just like, if you are doing something and you feel alone, like that means that you're really trying to do something special, because like not everyone is willing to put in the work, not everyone is willing to dedicate the time to it as you are. So just embracing that and being like, you know what, like we're all good, we're gonna keep living. Joe Faber asks, favorite type of music to run to? And this is, I threw this one in on purpose because it's a trick question. I don't listen to music when I run. I don't listen to music when I train. And I know people are like, this guy should be institutionalized, he's wild. No, but like, allow me to explain. Right now, being an athlete is my job. It is my purpose. It is what I'm pursuing wholeheartedly. And I treat every single training session, whether it be a run, a swim, a lift, a bike, no matter what it is, I treat it as practice. And back in the day, like, you didn't listen to practice, or you didn't listen to music for practice in sports. Coach might have brought out a speaker, which is just like, if I'm in the gym and they're playing music over like the public speak, like yeah, like that's very different than like having headphones in and isolating yourself entirely and being in your own separate world. I think training without music really offers you like a mental fortitude that ensures that you're like fully locked in on what you're actually doing and dedicating full effort to it. So that's why I don't listen to music, because it's just like I'm locked in with that when I'm training. I really want to be focused and being like as present as possible with like what I'm doing to ensure that I'm doing it properly and that I'm going to see progress. We got a question from Abigail Hasper, which is, what is your favorite part of hybrid training and what keeps you motivated? So I would say the what keeps me motivated part is just like the idea that I know that I'm capable of accomplishing so much more than I already have just by seeing how much I have accomplished thus far. It's like, okay, if I'm at this point, like a little bit over a year into my journey, a year and a half into my journey, where am I going to be 5 years from now? So that's what keeps me motivated. Just like stay dedicated, stay true to it. It's going to take time, but like it's going to be worth it. And my favorite part about hybrid training is just like the versatility aspect of it. I do miss playing sports a lot. I loved playing sports growing up. And being a hybrid athlete, being able to move your body in different manners, i.e. running, lifting, swimming, biking, like being able to have different training modalities and be able to like operate as a functional athlete is like super like mentally pleasing to me, because it's just like, this reminds me of the days when like I would run and I would lift in the same day, because like that's just what practice, that's just what training was. So yeah, I love how it keeps you as just like an all-around well-developed athlete. And my boy Brack here, I hope that's how I pronounce it, and it is, what is the hardest part of your days and how do you overcome it? The hardest part of my day is probably the first 5 minutes that I'm awake, because one, like, I'm not fully aware of what's going on. Two, I'm super comfortable in my bed, because it's like, you need to have a comfortable bed. It's great. And I always think about, I'm gonna sound like, I feel like I just lost any cool factor possible. Like, I'm just a huge nerd. But Marcus Aurelius, is like a really quote by him in his book Meditations, and it's talking about like when man wakes up in the morning and he's like comfortable in their bed, and it's just like, I don't know if I want to leave my bed right now. Like, I could easily go back to sleep. It's the idea that, like, was I put in the position that I am to be comfortable in my bed in the morning? Or was I put in this position of being an athlete, of having the opportunity to talk and inspire others? Was I put in this position to like wake up, to attack the day, to make the most of it, to inspire others, to push myself, you know? But that first 5 minutes, it's always a battle. It's always just like, I could go back to bed. Like, I don't have to be up this early. I don't have to train today, yada, yada. It's always a battle. But then I'm just like, I have the opportunity to like truly make a difference, not only in my own life, but in that of others. I have to get up. I have to work today because I get to work today. That's it. That's like the mental thing at the end of the day. It's just like, I get to do hard shit, so I'm going to do hard shit. All right, and then this is gonna be the last question of the video. I didn't realize just how long I've been spewing, but we got Lawson Brickner, and it is, what are the most significant lessons you've learned in life and in college? So I'll give a few. The first is that all good things take time. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to spend time waiting around for the perfect moment, because like, good things don't come to those who wait. The good things come to like those who go out there and like work for it. But it's just understanding that like, it's not like a matter of you work for one day and then you're gonna see the results. It's a matter of just like continuously working every single day, and realizing that it's going to get a little bit easier every single day that you do something. Just doing it every day, that's the hard part. The second biggest lesson is that life will just happen sometimes. You won't necessarily understand the rhyme or reason right away for like why things are going the way that they're going. But like I said before, if you can just like really hone in and focus on controlling your emotions and your response to things, you're going to be so much better off. And then last but not least, and I think the biggest one, is that you need to stop waiting for other people's approval to start living your best life. You're never gonna make everyone happy. You're never gonna be the perfect human being. Just be the best version of yourself. Be the version of yourself that you wanna be able to like show off to your younger version of yourself and be like, look, you should be damn proud of like how hard I'm working right now. Like, look what I've like kind of like turned my life into. Like, that's what you should be focused on. It's just like, don't worry about pleasing other people, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. Think about like pleasing a younger version of yourself and just showing like, hey, hard work over everything. Keep showing up every single day. It's all gonna be worth it. But yeah, this is an absolute yap session. I'm sorry about that, but if I got around to your question, there you go. If I did get around to your question, I am so extremely sorry about that. There were so many, and I had the intention of answering as many as I could, but I wanted to provide like substance in my responses. So yeah, that's gonna go ahead and end it for the Q&A. If you have any more questions, like just reach out to me on Instagram DM, or if like I didn't answer your question, you can just like DM it back to me and I'll be like, I got you. But yeah, I wanna thank you all very much so for watching this video. Like always, code HOP for BPN, for Gymshark, for Helomix, Interflame, my coaching, all my training plans, stuff like that. Like, that's all down below. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.